The following Golden Classics episode may contain mature subject matter that may not be suitable for all audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. 1960. Psycho is a horror film directed by Sir Alfred Hitchcock and distributed by Paramount Pictures based on the 1959 novel of the same name by Robert Bloch. The film depicts the mystery of Marion Crane, played by Janet Leigh, after she disappeared from her motel room in Phoenix, Arizona. Earlier, she stole $40,000 to make up for her boyfriend, Sam Loomis, played by John Gavin's debt, in order to get married. She is woken up by the police in her car the next morning and changes cars in an effort to escape from them and stops at the Bates Motel in Phoenix. Later that night, in arguably the most famous horror scene in all of cinema, when Marion was taking a shower, she gets stabbed repeatedly in the shower to death by a shadow figure. When the owner of the motel, Norman Bates, played by Anthony Perkins, checks her room, he appears very shocked by her dead body and hides it in the trunk of her car along with the $40,000 that she stole and sinks the car in a nearby swamp. The mystery rises later in the film when Marion's sister, Lila Crane, played by Vera Miles, questions where Marion has been as she has not heard from her in a week. She tells Marion's husband, Sam, about it even though he wasn't aware of it either. A private investigator named Milton Arbogast, played by Martin Balsam, gets hired to retrieve the stolen $40,000 from Marion and approaches the Bates Motel where Marion was killed. He becomes very suspicious when he notices strange behavior from the owner. He was told that Marion spoke to his mother in his nearby home and decides to talk with her, but is then stabbed by the same shadow figure on the stairs. After not hearing back from Milton, both Sam and Lila head to the Bates Motel. Sam has a conversation with Norman in the motel, while Lila goes to his house to try and search for Norman's mother. However, to her shock, her body was mummified, and Norman, just in women's clothes, tries to kill Lila, but is stopped by Sam after he was knocked unconscious. In the final scene, a psychiatrist explains Norman's behavior in the past 10 years at a police station. Adding to the killing of Marion and Arbogast as the shadow figure, Norman also killed 2 other people along with his mother and using her as an alternative possessive personality because of how she treated him when she was still alive. Norman gets sent to jail while Marion's car with the lost $40,000 and her dead body gets retrieved from the swamp. The filming process for Psycho lasted between November 1959 and February 1960 with a tight budget of $807,000, which is equivalent to just over $8 million today. Alfred Hitchcock got the rights to the 1959 novel it was based on for $9,500 and hired Joseph Stefano to adopt the script into the movie. Generally, the whole production process was difficult because it involved a lot of retakes and a lot of discussions and disagreements between Hitchcock and Paramount about budget and how Hitchcock was already working on a few other projects with Paramount, which would be scrapped in favor of this movie. As a result, the film was shot in cheap black and white film to keep the budget under $1 million, but also actually enhanced the horror of the film because of the darkness in each scene. The movie itself stayed really close to the plot of the original novel, with only a few major changes in some scenes. In the iconic shower scene, there were several myths made about how production was done. For example, in a 1964 interview, Hitchcock stated, "As you know, you could not take the camera and just show a nude woman. It had to be done impressionistically. So it was done with little pieces of film, the head, the feet, the hand, etc. In that scene, there were 78 pieces of film in about 45 seconds. However, most other film reviewers stated that only 60 shots were used. There was also a debate on whether hot or cold water was used. Janet Leigh claimed that hot water was used, but others said that cold water was used to enhance her screaming. And finally, there was another myth that Saul Bass, who created the graphic design animations in the opening of Psycho, also directed the shower scene. Leigh herself was negatively affected by the scene so much that she no longer wanted to take showers after watching the full film. Psycho was released on June 16, 1960 in New York City becoming the first American film in theaters to have a no late admission policy which prohibits attendance from entering after the film started. When the Motion Picture Association of America, or MPAA, introduced the modern movie rating system in 1968, it was given an M for mature audiences rating, which was the equivalent of PG ratings at the time. Psycho would have a successful re-release in theaters the following year. However, in 1984, the rating was changed from M to R for restricted due to the controversy surrounding the violence in the film, where it remains today. Psycho became the most successful in Hitchcock's entire career, earning about $15 million from it. However, audiences had mixed reviews of the film at the time it was released in 1960. It was praised for its strong terror and build-up, as well as excellent performance by Anthony Perkins and Janet Leigh, but was criticized for being too gimmicky and its camera lighting being too dull compared to some of Hitchcock's previous films, like North by Northwest and Vertigo. However, later on, the film would be reviewed in a more positive manner and is now viewed as one of the greatest horror films of all time. Because of the success of the 64-year-old film, there were several sequels and remakes beginning in 1983 with Psycho 2. Psycho 3 followed in 1986, and then Psycho 4, The Beginning, in 1990. In 1998, Gus Van Sant made a color remake of the original film, but it was widely criticized and performed poorly commercially. However, the original Psycho film from 1960 remains as one of Hitchcock's greatest and most iconic films, setting a new level of violence, sexuality, and psychological horror in American films, which was unthinkable at the time. And that is why Psycho is a truly golden classic.